true. And I guess the other point I would make about the cinema going experience is that the star system has disappeared. You look at it now, love him or hate him, Tom Cruise is really the last big movie star in the world, and you can blame the home cinema boom for that as well, because at the time, movie going and cinema going suddenly became very portable, and every tent and every shack and every suddenly had a VCR, and it needed something to fill, some content to fill that wasn't bound by language. So action films were born. Stars were made of people like Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme and obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. So what has happened? Like, why have the art house cinemas gone away? What has driven that? Has it been like just that they weren't profitable? Is it to do with like licensing restrictions? Like, what's
well, I mean, the exhibition space, the theatrical experience has changed so much so quickly in the last 5 to 10 years. It's not just the smaller art house venues that are disappearing. It's some of the bigger multiplexes that are doing it tough as well. The dissipation, the dissolution of content throughout sort of the home video streaming and YouTube and all those sort of channels has just contributed so much to the way people watch movies. To my generation, it's inconceivable to try to watch a film on a phone in front of you. Like, the people, I talk to these people who say, oh, I saw The Sixth Sense on the other day and I didn't really like it. And I say, well, where did you watch it? And I say, oh, on the train going to work. And I'm like, oh, come on, guys. It's no way to watch a movie. And so, yeah, the old school art house, the sticky floors and the dodgy sound system, that was a great experience for us. The last couple of generations, it just doesn't cut it. If you can watch the same movies in the comfort of your own home. And as much as I love the home video period, it did change the way ultimately, and looking back at it now, it created a whole environment where the movie-going experience, which was for 100 years just sitting in a big dark room and staring at a screen and not having any option to look away or to go away, and if you got up and went to the toilet or got up and get something to eat, you missed the movie. That doesn't happen nowadays. You pause it, come back. People are used to binge watching now. They can sit for 2 hours, they can pause it, they can come back later. This storytelling has become fragmented for a movie-going people nowadays, and that's what's really hurt the theatrical experience and cinema going as a whole.
Yeah, it sort of makes me think a bit about like albums as well, in the music sort of space. Like, nowadays it's all pretty much singles, and so hardly anybody focuses on the experience of an album in total, and what that's like to listen to an album. Like, I know I used to go to, I don't know how they let me stand there for so long, but I used to go to the music store, and they had the headphones you could put on, and listen to
the rack of headphones. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely not COVID friendly. Putting somebody else's headphones straight in, and no sanitizer there. Just pop them in, and I would just listen. But I would kind of listen to a track, and then like I might listen to half it on skipping to the next one, and then I'd listen to a bit of that, and I'd skip to the next one, and there would be some bands like where I'd hear the first one, think, oh, this was pretty good. Here's the second one, that's pretty good, but then like, if it's just all pretty much the same all the way through, then I might just can that, like, and even though they might be a band that people are going bananas over, or they might have a great song or two in there, I really enjoyed and still do, albums that have, I guess, a bit of, a variety. And talking about the viewing experience, I've got to say I'm definitely terribly guilty of this. The main TV is pretty much consumed with the kids or my wife wanting to watch something, and then the TV in our bedroom's rubbish. So I actually do end up watching quite a bit of stuff on my phone. And like many, it's like broken up into like maybe seeing little bits and pieces when you're in the bathroom or something like that. And it takes away from, like, that is very different. As you're saying, it's a very, very, very different, particularly if it's something like a suspense type sort of movie.
Sure.
You know, you couldn't watch like No Country for Old Men like that, you know, and have any kind of
Yeah.
sense of, you know, you that whole feeling you get, I suppose, if you watch a story through beginning to end in one go.
That's very true. And I guess the other point I would make about the cinema going experience is that the star system has disappeared.
Mm,
We you look at it now, love him or hate him, Tom Cruise is really the last big movie star in the world. And you can blame the home cinema boom for that as well, because at the time, um, movie going and cinema going suddenly became very portable, and every tent and every shack and every suddenly had a VCR, and it needed something to fill some content to fill that wasn't bound by language. So action films were born. Stars were made of people like Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme, and obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger.
right.
And so content, the whole star system that Hollywood created since it first sort of turned the camera loop, that started to dissipate. And the 90s, you go back 20 years, you've got Hanks, Cruise, a little bit of Schwarzenegger, Julia Roberts, Jodie Foster. These are the big stars. Then things started to happen when the characters became the big stars. You look at the last, the big films of last year or the last couple of years, you got Spider-Man. And does anyone know who played Spider-Man? I know the kids do, but I don't know who played Spider-Man. He's the star of the movie. Yeah, so it suddenly it changed. Plus, the actors aren't bound to becoming stars anymore. You'll always have the small sort of indie films that Frances McDormand or people like that go towards, but they can do that on Netflix. They can do that on Hulu and Stan. So the cinemas suddenly become the home of the spectacle, the big films. And those little films that we loved going to the dank art house flea pits to watch
Flea pit,
disappear. So
yeah, I'm glad you said flea pit. It's funny because in my notes here of things to talk about, that was one of the things that caught my attention when I was reading your kind of bio. Yeah, saying that they're probably by today's standards not very not appropriate, but there was something kind of special about them.
Exactly.
No, I've got to say, and if the guys are listening, then just take it as a bit of feedback, and it's not necessarily even a piece of criticism. But here in Caloundra, the local cinema is a bit kind of, particularly
bit old school
because of COVID. Because of COVID, there haven't been very many people in. So
no.
The dude running the joint just opens up this one little shoebox-sized theatre. Like my wife and I went in there. What did we go see? Oh, Trolls 2. So there you go, the kids. We went to go see that, and we were in this little teeny thing, and it was a bit kind of bit musty, but I don't know. Like I still think about going to like little towns and things like that. My cousin and I one time they were at some kind of holiday place that was more associated with his side of the family. It wasn't a normal place that I went to, but I stayed for a week, and we just had a great time. Went to the cinema I think a couple of times, and just so good. Just all the little, like funny things that people say, like they're still with me. Like my cousins just love kind of reciting different verses and phrases from movies.
Yeah, it's one of the great joys. And I don't know if that will ever come back, that period of where movies were that influential, where cinema going was that important. We're getting into our, what is it, 8th month of not being able to go in a big group anywhere social anymore, and the days when you'd go to a blockbuster movie opening and you'd queue and then you'd cram into little seats, and I think of, is that ever going to happen again? I really don't know. I mean, our festival at this stage will be running at about 40% capacity. So we've had to budget, and we've had to be very cautious of how we spend what little money we have to promote, because we know we're not going to have full cinemas to make that money back. But we hope to be sort of at least at the start of turning around the cinema going habits that have formed over the last few months, and maybe bring people back to the dark.
Yeah. Well, I think there is some hope. I mean, and I hate to say that it's kind of funny that I'm saying these are maybe the bastions of hope, but like the hipsters type sort of people who will just go, hey, actually, you know what? Like, I want to do something that's a bit different, and people can appreciate like the tactile kind of nature. I don't know what yet, but I have tinkered with an idea of creating. Well, obviously, I've got too many series going on at the moment, but if Flicks for Good takes off, then maybe I'll be able to just encourage other people to make things, and I can have some involvement or not.